Right now, we want to talk to Turning Point contributor Anthony Watson, who has been around Charlie for as many years as I think I have, and um, knew who he was as a person, and understood, you know, and I don't mean to sound repetitive, but the impactful nature of a guy who is irreplaceable, in my opinion. Anthony, what are your? I mean, I know what we're all going through, but I'll just open the floor up to you. Go ahead.
Well, I think everyone is still in a state of shock with everything that's been happening. It's one of those things that nobody wants to believe. But one of the things that I will say about Charlie that most people probably won't highlight or talk about was when he wasn't on camera, when he wasn't filming, when he wasn't on his show or his podcast, he was a man of very little words, but the words that he spoke were ones that meant the most to me. He was never someone that I had like intellectual conversations with in depth that most people would have gotten, but I got a lot of memories from him. And I think one of my most fondest ones was when we were doing one of our student-led organizational meetings and whatnot, and I got the opportunity to introduce him. We were just chatting with each other backstage, and he only told me three things. He said that he was happy that he brought me onto the team. He appreciated my work ethic because he says, you are a really hard worker. And then he told me that he was proud of me. And, when Charlie's not on stage, anyone who knows him knows that he was somebody that was very to himself and very quiet because he was always trying to remain focused and on mission. And here, what we have always had is an example of somebody that was willing to stop at nothing to make sure that the truth got forward. So that's the Charlie that I know. It's not the popular Charlie that a lot of people are familiar with, but those are the memories that mean the most to me because it was when nobody else was there and it was just the moments between he and I that he would say things to me that have stuck with me, and this hasn't killed anything inside of me. If anything, it's invigorated and invoked more of a passion and more of a desire to now continue to push back because in this conservative movement that we're in, it's never about following somebody until they retire or until they fall off, or in cases like this, when they're taken away from us. It's always next person up because this is a servant's role. It's about who's willing to do the most for the people that need it the most. And Charlie was somebody that led by example for the next generation. And we saw the move that was happening with that. People in politics, people in all these different positions that dread and desire to have the kind of impact that he did just for simply asking questions that most people disagreed with. And to be honest, it's just like this is what we've all told everybody at Turning Point. You need to speak the truth no matter what the cost, because the cost is greater if you stay quiet. And now, more than ever, I think through his sacrifice and through everything that he's done for every single person that's been employed at Turning Point, been to any of his events, now more than ever, nobody cares about the results or anything that now we considered losing in this because we realize that this is bigger than us. And it's going to take a collective work of us coming together to now continue to move forward. And it's not so much the left that we now have to fight against, that because we already know what their arguments are. We already know what their stances are. It's the people on our side that are stagnant, the ones that aren't getting involved, the ones that aren't doing anything, and the ones that keep passing all the responsibility off to everybody else. Everybody now is grieving. Everybody now is feeling a lot because the nature of what happened and the nature of this whole scenario is tragic. Nobody deserves to be removed from family or their friends in this manner. But it's also a wake-up call for people to know and understand that this is what it might cost if this is the life that you choose to stand for. And I'm here to tell you, Jobob, that if my life is to be taken out that way, I'm willing and I'm ready to do it because I care far more for what we're fighting for, knowing that at the end of my life, my goal and my reward is heaven, then if death is victory, how afraid of life do I need to be?
Anthony, maybe some of the viewers might not know this. You go to more schools than I think really anybody in the Turning Point family, possibly minus Charlie. Can you describe what his impact, even if he wasn't on campus with you, was there amongst the students that were there? I know you do a lot of high schools. Describe what his impact was just being there knowing that he was the head of the organization, and what that meant to those students when you were interacting with them.
Well, I mean, I spend a lot of time on the road throughout the school year.
Mhm.
There's no denying or question when it comes to anybody that, I try to, would always try in my mind to see if I could outdo Charlie with as many events that I did during the school year. But when you went anywhere and you saw Turning Point, or you saw Club America now for our high school students, and you went to a college, Charlie's name was attached to all of it. People saw Turning Point and everyone was like, oh, you follow that Charlie Kirk guy. So even when he wasn't there, he was still stirring the pot, and that's okay. And that is the whole mission to what we at Turning Point are trying to do. It's not rock the boat, it's stir the pot to where you can be yourself and challenge the powers that be. Speak to power, walk in the truth, and not your feelings or your version of it. The ultimate truth, which is Jesus Christ himself. And Charlie, on campuses across America, was invoking courage in all of these young students. There were so many people that through his videos on his TV show, through his YouTube channel, all of the shorts that people would clip up, where all of the arguments that are universal on campuses around the country, we're finally having people give a lot of feedback and a lot of pushback to where people weren't just supposed to take all of this nonsense anymore. So Charlie definitely had an impact in every aspect of one who does in a grassroots movement. It's about the work that you put in. It's about the message and the mission that you fight for. And it's the tools that you use to now equip yourself to be someone who's useful and valuable in all of those places. So every school that I've went to, everyone was always raving about Charlie. They were always excited to come to our events. They couldn't wait for the semester to be over for YWLS or Student Action or the end of the year for America Fest, because everybody at the opening bell wanted to see Charlie walk on stage. They wanted to watch him debate. Students would come around everywhere and they would soak up everything that he said like a sponge, so that they could now take the information that he was giving and now find ways to apply that and now use that on their campuses to now start shifting, so that all of these college campuses weren't just liberal commie camps. Charlie was somebody who wasn't just a talker. He was a doer, because you have far too many creators on the internet that they just live
Mhm.
there. But he was amongst the people, and he was a people person, which is why you're starting to see such a coming together of a lot of people from college campuses to high schools to communities to activism hubs to churches, through TP Faith, through Blexit, through every department that he has now created to now continue putting the truth in all of the communities that have been affected by the lies and deceitfulness of the left for years. And everyone's been saying, we want somebody to go and do it. And Charlie was the person that not only decided to do that, but he took it upon himself to now lead people by example, which is something that a lot of people don't do. A lot of people talk, but Charlie was somebody that when he says that he's done it, it's something that he's done or something that he was always willing to do. And everybody from every college campus that I've been to, in the 2 years and 3 years that I've worked for Turning Point, Jobob, I think I'd only been to 10 states. I've been to 49 out of 50 because of Turning
Mhm.
Point. And out of those 49 states, I have heard everybody rave about how impactful Charlie was on their family. How many people that used to be liberals that now are strong conservatives because Charlie opened their eyes to things that they know now that they've been deceived and lied to about. And it's up to us now. And in fact, it's more on our shoulders now to carry the mantle of what he started, because at the end of the day, we're not telling anybody anything new. We're not giving
Mhm.
anybody something that they haven't heard. We're bringing them back to the basics and telling people that this is what we were created to be. This is the truth of the matter of what we're supposed to do. And this is how we do it. So that if anyone steps away, the work can continue going on. And now we are more fired up and more spurred to keep going to carry out that message.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with everything you said. Anthony Watson, Turning Point contributor. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on Charlie, and keep up the good fight.
So you too, Joe Bob.